Stop following fad diets or diets that have a name. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And this is one of these things that, we hear experts say this over and over and over and over in public, right? All the time. Stop doing fad diets. Follow a balanced, healthy diet. Track what you eat. Eat whole foods. These things, right? We hear this ad nauseum, and yet somehow various fad diets are absurdly popular in the mainstream. They're absurdly popular in fitness circles, everything else. And the reality is they're not based on reality and science. And I'm not talking about ethical approaches. I get that some people follow, say, a vegan or a vegetarian diet for ethical purposes, okay? A little bit different there. That's not what we're talking about, and I'm actually okay with someone choosing to do that. But when we're talking about all these other named diets, like they specifically think, if I completely do a vegan diet, I'm going to lose the most weight and be the most healthy. No, the answer is that's actually not true. Okay, that's not true. In fact, vegan diets, you have to structure them very carefully to not have nutrient deficiencies. Now, do people successfully do that? Yes. But their diet is not automatically going to be better because they completely avoid all animal products. Okay, but let's come over and talk about some of the other ones. Ketogenic diets, carnivore diets, whatever, Raw 30 or whatever, these different names. All these names. Back in my day, it was the South Beach diet, the Zone diet, right? All these restrictions and structures thrown into place for no actual reason. Because keep in mind, all of these diets historically have been based on some sort of pseudoscience, some sort of hypothesis. Okay, but the reality is that it doesn't actually work. Okay, we know, for example, even ketogenic diets, the newest meta-analysis shows that for people who actually exercise and work out, they cause less fat loss on average in simply tracking calories. Okay? That's meta-analysis. Not saying they can't be successful, but there's your context. Same thing with health. Those sort of diets have been found in many cases to cause lipid problems, depending upon the exact composition of them. Not saying because it's low carb and necessarily higher fat, it's the type of fats people choose to eat on it. Okay? Problematic. Causes insulin resistance, elevated LDL, which contributes to atherosclerosis, even if other health markers go down. Causes less fat loss. Carnivore diet's even worse. You're excluding plants, vegetables, all this stuff. I mean, this is nonsense. But we always get into these. People always have these various fad diets. I mean, again, when I was younger, it was the Zone diet, which was an exact macro split. It was a 40-30-30 carb, fat, and protein, or it might have been protein, fat, and carb. The exact percentages. But you know how restrictive that is to literally come in and say, I'm going to follow this because Barry Spears wrote it. Well, it wasn't even based on reality. Okay? It wasn't even based on reality. It was just even things like glycemic index. We know glycemic index doesn't even matter that much unless you're diabetic and it's your first meal of the day. Okay? You see where we're going with this? There was no need for that. And then people were literally trying to structure their entire meals. Oh, every meal I eat's got to be roughly 40-30-30. It has to be. And I'm not even saying that's a bad setup. It's actually probably pretty decent percentages, as long as it's all healthy whole foods. But couldn't you just eat healthy whole foods and not say, oh man, does my fat from this meal need to be 10% of it or 30% of it? You see what I'm saying? People really think when you're trying to do a deficit or maintenance calories, for example, it's really going to matter. It'll matter in a surplus, not in the others. You know what? I would look at the quality of the food more than that. Way more important. Because all fats are different. Carbohydrates are different. Proteins are different. Okay? But this stuff was all the vogue, and I don't even know it's out now. It's always something, but lately it's been stuff like crazy carnivore diets and things like that, right? These things are becoming trendy. Even though the data says, yeah, these things are problematic. People have all these diets where they're afraid of anti-nutrients, which has been completely debunked. Like all the top nutrition experts and researchers in the world have kind of laughed at this and said, look, this is nonsense. Just cook your food. Complete gobbledygook being pushed by quack doctors. Doesn't appear to be a problem in epidemiology, not a problem in the lab. Nonsense. All these little fad diets. The reality, keeping a loose track of your calories, keeping your protein pretty high, eating almost entirely whole foods, right? Keeping lots of fiber, plenty of protein in your diet, focusing on whole foods. Eating quality fats, quality carbs. In other words, what do we mean? More whole grains, fruits, vegetables for carbs. Even root vegetables, tubers, those are still vegetables though, right? Not eating a bunch of refined stuff, particularly not refined sugar. Say they come over to fat. Before people mention trans fats, it's illegal to sell trans fats in food in the U.S. The only source of trans fats now comes from meat and dairy. That's it. Okay? But so we don't even need to go there with the trans fats. How about just limiting your saturated fat and focusing on healthy whole fats? Not adding a bunch of refined oils or butter to your food. Not eating huge amounts of animal source fats, keeping them moderated. Right? This works. In fact, for most people, if they just simply ate an entirely whole foods diet, the average person, if they just worked out and ate a whole foods diet, would probably start just losing body fat without even tracking anything. Now, does that mean calories in, calories out doesn't work? No, it absolutely works. It absolutely matters. The research is overwhelming, but these foods affect it. That's why. More whole foods and certain food types tend to produce more calories out. Some of them even cause you to burn more fat for fuel. Okay, so on and so forth. Right? They affect appetite, therefore it affects calories in. They also affect energy levels, which again affects calories out. Eating just a balanced whole food diet, right? Rich in leaner proteins, healthy fats, fiber, less refined carbohydrates, high in antioxidants, high in fiber, all those things. That works. And eating roughly towards your target calorie goals. For most people, this would resolve all these issues without any need for special named diets, for fad diets, anything based upon crazy pseudoscience. Okay? Again, if it's got a name, it's probably a fad diet. Right? It's probably a fad diet. And again, we have been told for decades by all the best experts, don't do fad diets, eat a balanced diet. And you people all know what a balanced, healthy diet is. All right? No one can claim ignorance of that at this point. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.